Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's July 12th, 2015, and this week we're going to do a lesson on modes for rock and metal guitar riffs. And this week's question was sent in from Mark. He's out in Douglas, Wyoming, and he wrote in with this email. I've been working through all your lessons on the scales for a while now, and I have a question. Aside from the obvious natural minor Aeolian scale for rock and metal, what can be done with the other modes here? I listen to a lot of rock and metal, and I've had some luck with Dorian, but I can't make up good Mixolydian or Phrygian riffs. Could you show me some examples of these? From Mark in Douglas, Wyoming, USA. Okay, thanks for writing in, Mark. You're correct in that the natural minor is probably the most widely used scale when it comes to playing rock and metal. And it kind of goes without saying that the major scale doesn't really get used a lot in this style, much to speak of. But the other modes that you mentioned, like Dorian, Mixolydian, and Phrygian, certainly get used a lot. So in this lesson, I've put together examples of riffs that are using these modes, and I plan to go through them and explain what you can do to keep an eye on when you're trying to work at creating your own rock and metal riffs using the Dorian, Mixolydian, and Phrygian modes. So let's zoom in on the guitar and get started. Well, the first rock metal example riff that I have to demonstrate is going to be a Dorian Mode riff. Now, all these example riffs I'm going to show during the lesson here will be based off of an E tonic. And it's important that students are clear on where the root of the mode originates from, as well as how the mode can be applied in our different types of rock and metal riffs. But first, I'd like to play this riff for you. So here's how this E Dorian riff I put together sounds. All right, so now the Dorian mode is a minor key mode that contains a raised sixth scale degree compared to the natural minor scale. Let me show you more of what that means. So here is a typical natural minor E scale. And the sixth note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is a C natural. But in Dorian, that C natural becomes C sharp. And it's a focal point of our riff as well, since its appearance is the main factor in setting up the unique sound of the Dorian color. You know, we have it off the beginning there where we go down, and we have this C sharp augmented sound, and then we have this turnaround riff. That takes us back around to the start of the riff again. Then we have another small A major sound, which again contains that upper C sharp note, and then drops down to wrap up on the E there. So the focal point really is to have a lot of E minor ideas going on, and if you're not familiar on how to generate the minor color, basically off the tonic or the root note of any scale, just go up a minor third. It's a whole step and a half step away. In our case of our key of E here, we have G natural to generate the sound of minor. So with that minor sound combined with that raised sixth C sharp tone in that particular scale layout, we get this Dorian flavor. So go forward and start creating some Dorian ideas, composing your own riffs. It's a lot of fun and it's a really great sound. But next, let's move on to Mixolydian mode. Well, the next example of applying a mode into the riffs of rock and metal will be an example using the Mixolydian mode. Now, Mixolydian mode is the fifth mode of the major scale. And if you recall earlier, I mentioned that all these examples I'm going to do in this lesson are going to be based off of an E tonic note. So this means that our E Mixolydian for this example will be coming from the A major scale, because the fifth tone of the A major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E, is the E note, and that's going to make up our Mixolydian sound. So we're really playing an A major scale, but we're focusing on those E notes. So here's how this riff idea comes together for E Mixolydian that I wrote. Sounds like this. So what's going on here is when we apply modes, we always need to focus on the differences from the corresponding tonality off of the mode's root. Now, Mixolydian happens to be a major tonality mode. So when you compare that off of the third, remember we were talking about the third earlier with Dorian, the minor third is a G natural, so a major third, G sharp, gives us the major tonality. And that's what's going on in Mixolydian, except the difference there is at the 7th step. In a normal major scale, we have this half step between the 7th degree and the octave, but in Mixolydian, it goes down a step and becomes a minor 7th or a lowered 7th degree. So it's that note in Mixolydian and that note in major scale. So Mixolydian gives you a little bit different sound there because that 7th degree tone happens to be a D natural instead of a D sharp like it would be in a typical E major scale. So as you compose riffs that have this particular E Mixolydian sound, just keep those D natural notes as a part of it. They need to take precedence. And then as you go along into other modes, make sure you watch out for that lowered 7th, and you'll be creating some really cool sounds in Mixolydian that way. Well, the final modal example riff I have for you would be the mode of Phrygian. This mode is used in a lot of metal riffs because it has a really cool sounding dark and moody color to it. And it makes it perfect for setting the stage on how a lot of effects of the heavier riffs are created in metal. So first of all, let's check out how this riff sounds, and then we'll discuss the basic theory you need to be aware of when you're writing your own Phrygian riffs. All right, so it's a pretty cool sounding idea when you're working in Phrygian. The mode itself is based off of the 3rd degree of our major scale, which is a minor harmony step. So when analyzed off of the root, this mode is basically a minor tonality. So the key of C major gives us an E Phrygian sound. If we started on the root of C, C, D, and E is the 3rd step, 1, 2, 3. And this type of harmony that's located on that particular step of the scale is minor, so that means that the mode of Phrygian is a minor mode. And when we compare its structure to the natural minor scale, we find out right away that Phrygian has a really unique sound, and it happens to be a lowered 2nd degree. So a very interesting sound, really off-color kind of sound that simply just doesn't work very well to create riffs in a lot of other styles. You can't really use it in, your typical, I don't know, soul, R&B, country and western, sort of a lot of contemporary styles, pop music. It's sort of an off-color idea. If it's used, it might be used in a real specialty way to highlight something. However, as you just heard in my heavy metal Phrygian mode riff there, it does work extremely well in this particular style. It generates a lot of tension off of that minor harmony with that lowered 2nd degree. It has a really interesting sound there. And in the case of E Phrygian mode, that lower 2nd note happens to be an F. So really interesting sound there. You can start by learning this riff that I've created and then create another Phrygian idea, maybe using E Phrygian mode. You'll have some more of a basis to work off of, better foundation because you'll understand E Phrygian at least. But afterwards, start working on other ideas in other keys as well. I'm sure you'll come up with a number of really cool riffs. It's a super fun scale to work on, creating ideas for, and it's just perfect for that real heavy, kind of like, thrash metal kind of sound. It's very cool for that. So hope you have fun with it. Well, modes are one of the most important harmonic and melodic ideas used by guitar players. So we need to get a solid handle on using them to the best of our ability. And in certain styles of music, like our rock and metal ones here, modes offer us some really unique sounds. And when we analyze different applications of those sounds, like the raised 6th off of that minor tonality of Dorian, or of course the lowered 7th of the major tonality of Mixolydian, or that very unique color tone of the lowered second degree and the minor tonality of Phrygian. With all these, you begin to realize just how important these modes really are. So don't just take my word for it. Get going on composing some of your own modal riffs in rock and metal. It's not just great theoretical study and practice. This style is actually a lot of fun to play as well. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for now. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if possible, consider a small donation to help fund the Guitar Lessons project here. I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, have yourself a really great week. Enjoy working on all this material, and I will catch up with you next time. Bye for now. I'd like to take a moment to mention another guitar video lesson project I've started. It's a unique guitar lesson approach that I'm doing online, and it's not like anything I've done before. Best of all, it's 100% free. I've called this approach guitar micro lessons, and they're a great way to learn a few new licks or riffs or chord shapes each week. Now, these guitar micro lessons are quick and easy to learn from. They're very short, with each lesson running between only 1.5 to 2 minutes in length. They're published to YouTube from Monday to Thursday on my other Guitar Blog Update YouTube channel, and you can either subscribe to that channel to guarantee getting each new episode, or just visit the channel whenever it's convenient for you and check out the new micro lessons in the playlist on the Guitar Blog Update channel's homepage. If you'd like to learn the modes and really get an understanding how they can be used musically to write songs, play a solo, or compose melody lines, then you're in luck. My ebook, Using the Major Scale Modes, is a comprehensive manuscript outlining exactly how modes are used both in harmony and to compose melodic ideas. Over 50 pages of scale patterns, example progressions, and music theory all create one of the most comprehensive methods on the modes available. Using the Major Scale Modes is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com.